Hi, I'm Sherry Hale. I'm going to show you some piano tips and tricks today to help you get started playing gospel music. Okay, so inversions, that's what we're talking about today. An inversion is simply taking the root position of a chord and rearranging the notes in a different order, but you get the same sound. So it's still, for example, a C chord, but you've made it in with different positions of your fingers on the notes. So you've scrambled the notes. So here's a pattern to remember. Last week we learned about the C chord. We're going to use the C chord today to learn inversions. So the pattern is you take whatever note is on the top in the root position. This would be C. And then you're going to move it down to the end of the note down here by simply picking up your thumb, replacing the fingers you already have pushed down that were left down, and replacing the top note at the bottom. So now you have C in the inversion 1 position. The same pattern applies to do the second inversion. So you're going to lift the thumb, which is the top note here, and you're going to pick it up, replace the fingers that are already down, and pick up the same note at the end. So this is inversion 2. Notice if you follow the same pattern once more, you pick up the G, which is the thumb, and you move your fingers down and pick up the G at the end, you're back to your root position. So to do it a little faster for you, C, C inversion 1, C inversion 2, back to C in the root position. Okay, you do not need to memorize the name. You need to become familiar with how to make the inversion. So when you're practicing, start by practicing following the pattern. Lifting your thumb, replacing the fingers, moving the note to the end. Do the same thing again. Make the chord, lift the thumb, replace the fingers, pick the note up at the end. And then do it one more time back to the root position. Be sure to follow the pattern. Make sure that your fingers are the same. It should sound the same every time. You will notice if you make a mistake. For example, if I pick this up, I pick up the thumb, and instead of putting it on the C, I missed my C, and I put it on the wrong note. Notice it sounds different. These two do not sound the same. So then I know I have an error. It should sound the same. Your goal is to be able to do it like this. You just want to practice so you're familiar. Once you get them by simply doing the choppy notes, you can practice going faster, going slower, going frontwards, going backwards. And then you want to begin to break them apart a little bit. This will begin to loosen up your fingers and will help you later on as you're playing the melody. So inversions are very important. Now let's look at it in the key of F. F we also learned about on our last lesson. You follow the same pattern. It's all white keys. You lift the F, the top note. You move it down to the F, and replace it. Still have the same sound, still an F chord. Then you do the same thing again. And you keep following the pattern. Now when I lift the thumb this time and replace the notes, I'm back to an F root chord. Okay, now let's look at G. This was our third chord that we worked on last week. So we have G in the root position. We lift up our thumb. We replace the G at the end. We follow the same pattern again. When we do it once more, we'll be back in the original root position. This is how we do inversions. Learn it for those chords and feel free to practice making inversions with any other chords that you've learned. So if you know how to make D, you do the same thing. You're going to follow the same pattern. Just lift up the first note, keep the last, you just move the D note down to the end. Okay? So that's the most important lesson you need to start with right now, and then we'll get back to more piano tips and tricks in just a bit. See ya.